My parents were extremely young. They were back and forth for years until my mom got pregnant with my younger sister and found out my dad was essentially living a double life. During the time they were together, my dad was very abusive towards my mom in almost every way. One of my very first memories was of my dad holding down my mom in our living room and repeatedly hitting her while I was curled up in the corner screaming at him to stop hurting her. Once my sister was born, he pretty much abandoned us. He job hopped frequently or would go without a job for a long time. He never paid child support and always missed his visitations with us, to the point the judge revoked his visitation rights. And he was facing felony charges for being so far behind in child support. Despite this, the few times a year I did see him, he always had a new car, a brand new flat-screen TV, the newest phone, etc. As I got older, I would hear from him maybe once or twice a year, and sometimes would go a year or two without so much as a text. He did eventually get his head out of his arse in his 30s, went to college, and now has a successful career. I actually reconnected with him for a few months a few years ago while I was finishing up college, but that didn't last long as he began SHT talking about my mom. The woman who raised me and my sister by herself, put herself through college, worked 2 jobs to make sure my sister and I had all we needed and got to do the things we wanted, etc. He tried the classic deadbeat, your mom kept me from you guys. I called him out and started spitting out facts about how I remember waiting at our meeting spot for him to come get us just for him not to show up. How I had had the same phone number since I was 10 years old and he would never reach out, even after I turned 18. And so on. My dad is a textbook narcissist to the T. And as you can imagine, when confronted with facts, he did not like that at all. In his mind, it's everyone's fault but his. He messaged me soon after and told me he wished my mom would have gotten rid of me when she had the chance. That was the last time I'd ever spoken to him, and that was 4 years ago. Around the time I briefly reconnect with my dad, he starts dating a woman who I only met once. She seemed nice, but my dad was around the entire time, so I couldn't warn him of his true nature. I could also tell that she was smitten with him and probably wouldn't have believed me even if I told her, because my dad is a master manipulator. And I knew he had told her his sob story of how my mean mom kept him away from his children and turned us against him. They ended up getting married a few years ago after I cut him out of my life for good, and they had a daughter who is now a toddler. Now, my younger sister and I are thicker than thieves and are always together, so it does sadden me that I will more than likely never have a relationship with my other sister. Now to the outing part. About a month ago, I got a Facebook message from a woman I didn't know. She said she was my dad's mother-in-law and basically shamed me for not attempting a relationship with my sister. Mind you, I am in my mid-20s with my own life, and she is 3. She also said that now that I'm an adult, maybe I could have a mature conversation with your dad and try and see things from his perspective. It may change the way you feel about him. Now I knew that no matter what I told her, she wouldn't believe me. My dad is too charming and too good at playing the victim. So instead, I asked for her address so I could show her something. I sent her a 20-page letter about all the reasons I didn't have anything to do with my dad. I detailed the abuse I had witnessed, how he cheated on my mom and left us with no money living out of her car, how he never showed up for his visits, etc. I detailed times he promised he would pick me up or take me somewhere just to not show up or even have the decency to call. I then went through my mom's records and made copies of the court documents showing he had missed every single visitation for 2 years and no longer had visitation rights. Documents showing he was $25,000 behind in child support and was facing felony charges and jail time. And documents showing where he had asked the judge if he could sign all rights to his children over so he won't have to pay. I also got printouts of old police records where my dad beat up my mom and pictures my grandma took of my mom after he beat her. I also sent printouts of messages my dad has sent my mom, like the time she asked if he could help buy my sister and me winter coats. And he responded, "I'm not doing SHT for you, they can freeze." And I also added his text about how my mom should have aborted me. I sent her all this information and am currently waiting for a response. I don't feel bad at all and feel like she have a right to know the truth about why I don't have anything to do with my dad, what kind of person he truly is, and what kind of man their daughter is married to and has a child with. Relevant comments. LJ read it. He was a little too skilled a manipulator for his own good, it seems. It looks like his MIL swallowed his poor me act hook, line, and sinker and contacted you behind his back with honest good intent, thinking the poor man was pining after his children were cut off from him by the machinations of his evil ex-wife, depriving the MIL's granddaughter of having a relationship with her half-siblings. It's going to be interesting to see if he can spin his way out of this one. For the wife's and little girl's sake, I hope they see through him at last. OP. This is exactly what I think happened. I know my dad, and the man is very good at what he does. He also doesn't really fit the look or bill for the typical abusive guy or deadbeat father. He's a very conventionally attractive man, and now he's very successful, makes a lot of money, and can definitely charm the pants off anyone. I can guarantee you that if people on here met my dad and then read this post, they would say there was no way he was like this. Are you sure this really happened? Deep positive 130. My dad is a narcissist too, and I've seen him turn on the charm, and it's honestly chilling how people eat it up. No one ever believes unless they've been on the other end of it or dealt with someone like them before. OP. Yes, even after all the BS he pulled, I still tried to give him the benefit of the doubt a few years ago. And there for a hot second, I really thought, okay, he's grown up and matured, and maybe I can have an actual relationship with him. Nope. If I hadn't defended my mom and reminded him of the facts, he would still be putting on the charm. But he knew the jig was up at that point. DZHMMM. Did you make copies of the entire packet you compiled? At this point, send one to his house for the wife as well. OP. I made triple copies of everything. In addition to the numerous copies my mom has kept of everything over the years, I'm sure her parents will show her. I also don't have her or my dad's addresses. Jolly catnap. OP, be safe. Don't take any future contact from your dad or the in-laws lightly. Warn your sister and your mom as well. But also, good for him. OP, thank you for your concern. My mom and sister both know about the letter and information I sent. Luckily, we haven't had any contact with him for years, and he doesn't know where we live, but we are still on alert. My mom would beat the living crap out of him now, and I don't think he would have the guts to confront us. Either way, we are definitely on the lookout for any potential backlash from him. Update. I got a letter from the in-laws today. The letter was written by the father-in-law. He started off the letter by apologizing to me for his wife's intrusion on my privacy, and for possibly opening up any old wounds that he's sure I wish to move on from. He went on to say that he and his wife were shocked, devastated, at a loss for words, and feel like a rug has been pulled out from under them would be the understatement of the century. And that, as you can imagine, this is not the story we have been told the last 5 years. He told me they 1000% believed me. He said that, being honest, he always thought it was a huge red flag that my dad's highly successful grown children had nothing to do with him and that none of his family seemed to have anything to do with him either. He said that he told his daughter when she and my dad were engaged that she needed to look into this more and possibly reach out because something wasn't right, and he felt like she wasn't getting the full story. He told me that when reading my letter, he identified with a lot of my experiences with my dad because his dad was also the same way, and because of that, he had always promised himself he would always take care of his family. He wrote that over the years, he has been tempted to reach out to me to get my side of the story, but did not want to be intrusive and felt like it wasn't his place. He mentioned that a lot of what I told them my dad has probably said to them about why we have nothing to do with him is verbatim things he has said to us about why you and your sister don't come around or send to have anything to do with him. He went on to admit that they are truly at a loss for what to do with this information. He assured me that he and his wife would not let my dad know that this information had been sent to them, and that they were now aware of what kind of monster he truly is underneath his facade. He told me that they see their daughter and granddaughter daily and have not been alerted or seen any signs that any kind of abuse is going on. But he wasn't naive and knew that a tiger doesn't change strips. He said that he and his wife aren't sure if showing their daughter this information is the right thing at this very moment because they don't think she's at a place to believe it, despite the irrefutable evidence that I included. He said they were afraid she would become defensive and isolate herself from them if she thought they weren't on her and my dad's side. And the last thing they wanted to do was to isolate her and their grandchild with a man who has a history like my dad does. But he said, make no mistake, there will be a day when she is ready to believe this, and they will show her. He finished off by once again apologizing to me and saying he wanted me to know how proud he was of me for sending this to them. He said that one day he hopes his granddaughter can meet her big sisters and can only hope she has half the courage you do. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for their love and support. I honestly did not expect my post to blow up the way it did. I'm truly at a loss for words. I feel like I have finally spoken my piece and have gotten justice for my mom. I'm ready to close this chapter of my life and move on. Relevant comments. 6 Soul Glitch. Why do they believe that showing her the physical proof you offered, which is far more than enough evidence, would drive her away? OP. Probably because she's not at a place to believe it. You would be surprised at the stuff people don't believe happened, even with irrefutable evidence. There are some people who believe that 9/11 didn't happen, despite it literally playing out on live television. I'm not talking about people with government conspiracies and that kind of stuff. I'm talking about people who truly deny 9/11 actually happened. Same with the Holocaust. If they show her this and she's been brainwashed by him and runs and tells him, He will absolutely isolate her and turn her against her parents. I know he will because he isolated my mom from her family, and that's when the physical abuse began. Thank you for watching the video.